All right, good morning. Good morning. That's where we're at today. All right. This thing's going to yell at me for a while. All right, Merry Christmas. All right, let's do it. What's today? The day after Christmas. December 26, 2025, 10:05 is a little late, sorry. There's really not a whole lot going on. There was one extension. We'll look at that real quick. Tyler Soderstrom, and then I'll just fill out my Hall of Fame ballot. I was going to have my buddy on to do a full debate show, and we might still do that, about the Hall of Fame. But for now, I'm just going to fill out the ballot as if I was doing it on my own. So, all right, let's go take a quick look at Soderstrom and what this means for him, for the A's, just what type of player he's been. You know, he's in the news, so I think he's a interesting guy to look at. You know, really, of all of their really good young guys, this is a guy that hasn't gotten a lot of buzz lately. He was unbelievable at the beginning of the season, so we need to marry everything, everyone. So we need to take a peek at his splits a second, like first half, second half, because I thought a lot of it was early, but this is the numbers. This is what he got extended off of. 7 years off of this, which is going to take up a couple of years of control beyond where he would have been a free agent, I believe. Maybe at least 1 or 2 years, looks like, based off service time. Hold on, let me double check that. So he's got 2 years, 53 days right now. Signs a 7-year deal, so that's 2 years of free agency additionally bought. Anyway, here were the stats last year. He had a 4.3 WAR, which is a big number, obviously, in 158 games. Batted .276, 346, 474, 34 doubles, 25 home runs, 93 RBIs, 126 OPS plus. On the StatCast side of things, says he's good at everything. Even his below average stuff, like the stuff on the bottom where a lot of times you'll see a slugger, and then you look at the guys on the bottom, like down towards the bottom of the chart, squared up, Chase, Whiff, K, and they'll be way, way low. Unless they also get the walks, like a Schwarber, you'll see Chase, Whiff. Well, not Chase he's good at, but you'll see like Whiff and K be super low. And for the guys that are like all or nothing guys, you'll see all these numbers be super low. But that's not the case for Soderstrom. He's right around league average at those numbers. So really a complete player here in a lot of ways. 820 OPS last year. Neutral on defense, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't mind seeing a 0 outs above average because it's pretty easy to accumulate like a -5 to a -10 if you're bad here. So honestly, being 0 means there's some good there. It's a mixed bag. Even sprint speed, I mean, it's not a huge part of his game, but it's league average. So that's number 1. 24 years old, bright future ahead. Big power out of this guy. Let's watch some of his ding-dongs real quick. And now they have a few guys locked up. They locked up Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker. Now there's Soderstrom. They're investing a little bit more in this team. They just trade for the squirrel. So we've talked a lot about the A's all of a sudden. But I am curious real quick to see his splits from last year because I thought they were pretty... I just remember hearing a lot about him early. Well, I couldn't have been more wrong. He was better in the second half. Where was the month that he went berserk? Maybe I have it flipped. Maybe it was the end of the year. No, it was the beginning of the year. April, March, 284 with 9 home runs in the first 31 games of the season and a 909 OPS. That's what caught my attention early. Then he did have a little bit of struggles in May, June, 702, 655, and then he really picked it up down the stretch. He was actually better in the second half. His total second half numbers, 853 OPS, 300, even 300 batting average, 358, 495 slug. So perhaps he made some adjustments. I watched him get absolutely dominated a little bit by some of the lefties, Crochet, and Skubal, but those are tough matchups for anybody. Where's the verse left, verse right? So it's not even bad verse left. 738 verse left. He is a left-handed hitter. That's why I'm mentioning that. Obviously gets most of his plate appearances versus righties, where he's pretty dang good. And so this isn't a change of anything for the A's in terms of their lineup or whatever, but I thought it was interesting that got announced on Christmas. They have him right here on roster resource as the 3-hole. Kurtz, Langoliers, Soderstrom, Rooker, McNeil, Wilson, Butler. That's very strong with huge upside. So, yeah, I don't know. It was kind of weird. Like, we were definitely talking about Soderstrom a lot, and then Kurtz came, and, it was like, honestly, I didn't hear his name at all, even though I didn't. So I was completely unaware of the second half he was putting together and some of the adjustments he was making. But he gets rewarded with the bag here. And, this lineup is fun. If you're like a baseball fan, this is a fun team to watch. I have a good feeling we're going to watch a lot of A's stuff this next year. Trying to work on a tool where it's easier for me to watch player at-bats as opposed to having to jump into every game. So hopefully that'll be up and running by the season, and it'll be a lot easier to just, watch last 10 versus lefties, watch a guy versus fastballs, etc., get a better idea of how some of the stuff I would look at, some of the stuff that I would want, we can bring that to the show. So that's kind of the idea. All right, let's get in the chat for 2 seconds, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at that Hall of Fame ballot. The thing about the thing in Vegas is, I saw they broke ground, right? But is it 2 more years till Vegas? So they won't be there in 26 or 27, potentially 28. The other interesting thing, also is that the Vegas people don't really want the A's. From what I've heard, they would like to have their own team. You think of the Vegas Knights versus the Vegas Raiders. I think the Raiders is more of an event-based situation. You see a lot of opposing teams' fans in there. And I think that'll be similar with baseball. Whereas the Knights have their own identity. They're a Vegas team. As well with the Aces as well, the women's basketball team. That's like their team. So I think like it'll be interesting to see how they're embraced in Vegas. Is what I'm saying here. I know some people that are from Las Vegas and they kind of give you the side eye when you talk about the A's. So I'm curious how that transition goes. And obviously, it's interesting that they're bolstering the team or whatever. But I don't know if it's just for that. I think it's also because they genuinely have a pretty nice little squad here brewing. You look at the WRC pluses over here from 2025. Kurtz was at 170, Shea Langoliers 132, Soderstrom 125, Rooker 122, McNeil 111, Butler 121. Wilson 121, Butler 96, and he had a knee injury. So really, that's really good. You go ahead and look at like the Pirates from last year. They had 0 guys over that 100 line. So again, it's just another demonstration of this young team. Okay, listen, real quick, Maya. I'm not saying I'm not gonna break down the games. The games are the main jam once the games start. I'm just looking for a tool when we're studying a specific player. Sometimes it's tough when I'm trying to do the at-bats. Like if you watched any of the at-bat videos I did, of constantly looking up what was the date, what was the matchup, and then going back through the search tool to find the 4 at-bats, and then, you know what I mean? Like I'd much rather just have them all listed in one row and column, basically table, and then I can just click through them a lot quicker. It's a lot easier when you're studying hitters. And then also, like, I want to try to bring some of the approach of like how I would hunt a weakness, how I would look for a weakness. So there's certain things I've been trying to filter for. Anyway, it's a bonus. It's not a replacement at all. So hopefully we'll get that all figured out. All right, tuned into every A's game last season. Dallas Braden, also a good show. Dallas Braden's a very enthusiastic baseball announcer. I also like his Slab Lab show. And I like talking to him when I talk to him. It's all very genuine. The mayor of Stockton. The mayor of Stockton, California, Mr. Dallas Braden, told A-Rod to get the fuck off his mound. All right, what else we got here? Do you think they lean into McNeil's harder swing, pull air approach in Sacramento? Okay, so I think a few people were a little confused about what I was talking about with Jeff the other day. Eventually, me and Maya got there as we kind of parsed through it. I'm not saying that he should go back to being an only slap the ball hitter, look for his hits. I think that he should still take his chances for power, especially in this ballpark in Sacramento. As we know, Sacramento is the number 2 ballpark in baseball for hitting as of last year. We got to go down to the rolling 1 year. There's only 1 year, but they're number 2 behind Coors Field. Home runs were inflated by 12%, even more than Coors. Oddly, walks, but I think that's just a function of like Kurtz and some of their players. Doubles inflated, hits in general inflated, runs inflated. So to me, yeah, he should still be looking to do more damage. Like that's how he's going to generate more value. I don't think his just slap the ball around approach that he maybe had when he was younger is sustainable over the course of a 162 anymore with his skill set and the pitching he's facing. And just how his game has progressed. I think he needs to do a little bit of both. But my point is he shouldn't lose that identity deep within him. I think when he gets to 2 strikes, getting into a foul ball war with a pitcher benefits the offensive team. He could be one of those guys. And on this team, they're not counting on him to hit a lot of power. Now, it's nice if he does, but they need this guy on base. They need him getting clutch hits with 2 outs. Those are special separator characteristics for contact hitters. 2 out, being annoying with 2 outs, driving up pitch counts, being really hard to pitch to because you can hit the ball where it's pitched. Those are parts of Jeff's identity that I'd like him to keep. But of course, I'd like him to have a little more power, and I do think this ballpark helps that a little bit. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, but the NHL worked it out, so the Knights had instant success. Didn't they? They went to the Cup like the next year. It's just interesting. It's just interesting that the Vegas people really like stuff of their own, which I think you can understand. You got a new franchise in your city, and they already come with like 50, 70, 80, 100 years of baggage from another city. It's sort of a different circumstance than starting your own journey and your own story from scratch. And I think a lot of people would rather start from scratch. I hear my son yelling. Okay. What else we got here? And the Raiders have sucked, but they've sucked even before they were in Vegas. They sucked for a long time. I just think the football thing makes perfect sense because if I'm a big football fan, and I'm not, but say like I was a huge Giants fan and I see on the schedule that the Giants are going to be in Las Vegas on a weekend. I mean, not me, but I could see a lot of people saying, let's make a vacation out of that. Let's go for 3 days. We'll do the casinos, we'll do the shows, we'll do the dinner, we'll go to the game. We'll make a whole event out of it. It seems like that happens every single weekend in the NFL that there are games there. Just people coming into Vegas and making a whole event out of it. I don't think that's quite the same case with baseball. Maybe it's part of your trip, but it's not going to be enough to maybe bring you there. I don't know, bring some people there. Like people used to come travel to see the Rockies play. Their team versus the Rockies, I should say. So maybe you'll get some of that. But at the end of the day, you want the people from there to go to the games, right? It's a little bit of the issue that the Rays have being in St. Petersburg. And now you're dropping a whole franchise into a place that hasn't had one before. So we'll be curious to see how it works out. I don't think that they're spending money for that reason. I think they're spending money because they like this team and they want to lock it up and they see a window of success coming. So I think that's more of the calculus. It's more straightforward. Do the A's have any other option other than Jenny Cavnar? Don't know. Jenny Cavnar was with like a Rockies sideline, so I know her very well and I love Jenny. But I don't know who else they have rocking or what their situation is. But, you know, I'm partial. I'm very biased. I love Jenny and I like Dallas as well. All right. A couple more of this and then we'll get into the Hall of Fame stuff I want to do. How did you like the change in piping of the sleeves of the Fanatics jersey? The Fanatics jerseys were just cheaper and crappier, to be honest. The Majestic ones were like, it was like a rite of passage. Like you get to the big leagues and you get this like really well-made piece of equipment. And I know that there was an effort made with the Nike switch to kind of make the jerseys a little bit more printable and they could do turnaround times better. But I think the quality suffered a little bit and the players did not like that. I don't know. The jerseys were just so nice when I first came up. The Majestic jerseys, the thicker ones before they went to the cool base, which they had to do because of the weather and stuff. But those thick ones with the hands, with the really nice stitching on them were gorgeous. Just gorgeous works of art. So they were really, really nice. My fam would always vacation in Colorado in the summers just to see a Rockies game. So there you go. So that's one way that the Las Vegas team I know will have some attendance. You are going to have some people going in a day or two, you know, go watch a game or two, go do the other things around town and head on out of there. But I don't know. It's just a different vibe. And I do think if they started fresh, I don't know what they would call their name. You know, they're probably something around gambling, I guess. You know, there's already the Aces. You know, you need something. The Dice, I don't know what you call them, but if they had their own identity, I think maybe it'd be embraced a little bit more. But they should embrace just the fact that they're gonna probably have a very exciting team come 2 years. 2 years is a lot of time for things to change, but 2 years from now, with the A's core that they have now, it should be pretty good. Yeah, I love Dallas. Dallas has got great enthusiasm and really loves the game, and so does Jenny. And I think, you know, people are gonna jump all over female broadcasters or whatever, but it's more of a them problem than a her problem. If the A's are good when they get to Vegas, they will be embraced. It's not like they were always in Oakland either. Oh, they were embraced in Oakland. The owner didn't embrace the fans in Oakland. Is more of the scenario. I loved the fans in Oakland that were there when we would play in Oakland. It's just a massive stadium. Probably not that accessible from certain parts of the Bay. But I think that the fans always supported the A's. I think it was sad they kind of got their team taken. I think it was also ultimately ownership just made it a bad situation there. But that's my 2 cents. I don't like that they tout Jenny as a women announcer. I don't know. She's been moving up in this world. She's been doing a whole bunch of stuff. She had the home run call in Colorado, the fire up the fountains call. So, I don't know. I like her. No, I don't think it'll. I mean, eventually it'll kind of happen anyway. If you like baseball, you're gonna be like, okay, fine. But let me just speak from experience on this for a second. I grew up in Brooklyn, for the most part, and I was a big Knicks fan growing up. Huge Knicks fan. The Nets are a New Jersey thing, right? All of a sudden, the Nets come to Brooklyn. Not just Brooklyn, like 10 blocks from where I grew up. So now there's this basketball team right here. And I know that I already had the Knicks to latch onto, and maybe that's part of my thinking, but I just could never embrace this team that came from New Jersey and had no history being a Nets team, like a Brooklyn team. This Nets team was a New Jersey team to me in my lifetime, so it was hard for me to embrace them. Felt like they were fake Brooklyn, and that why should I switch my allegiance from the Knicks to the Nets? Now, and Vegas doesn't have a team to switch their allegiance from to the A's maybe, so maybe that's a little bit of a different calculus, but at least that's the way I parsed through it in my head a little bit at the time, was like, I don't care that you're here, you're invading, and you're not really from here. So, but I was never a bandwagon guy either, and a lot of people probably are, so if you're a bandwagon, probably pretty easy to jump on it. Okay, so anyway, that was Soderstrom. A's continue to be exciting. We have an Amai deadline coming up on the 2nd. That's probably the next thing you know will happen, because I think it's going to be awfully quiet the next few days. On Monday, I'm hoping to get Justin Courtney on so we can talk some winter ball. It's getting spicy down there in the DR. We need to know a little bit more about that. But yeah, transactions-wise, I'm not expecting a whole lot. So that's why these shows have been a little light the last few days, and this is just part of this time of year, I think. This show is really built around games happening, and there's no games happening, so the winter's a challenge. Obviously, you try to get guests on, you try to do analysis, you try to look at the rosters, try to look at what happened, not getting too much into the talk of the rumors and stuff like that. And that's what we've done, but that leads us to some really quiet moments. So that's where we're at right now, and where we're at right now is time to do my picks for the Hall of Fame ballot. This is a blank ballot. Shout out to, hold on, let me look at my Discord who hooked this up today, because I was looking for it. JCraft87. Big shout out there. And now we have to pick up to 10 players of this list. Now, when I talked really quick the other day on the contemporary Hall of Fame ballot, I noted that for me, it was a big line in the sand. If you cheated after 2005, then I can't put you in. If you took steroids or enhanced yourself before that, I'm not going to hold it against you personally, because I just feel like it was much more of a level playing field than people will care to admit or talk about. So that's kind of where my line in the sand's drawn. And that leads me to my first two people that I have to use as a cross-off, which sucks because they're two of the greatest right-handed hitters of all time. And I would like to vote for them. I really, really would. But I cannot vote in good conscience for A-Rod or for Manny. I have to just immediately wipe them off the list. I just can't, as much as I love him. And Manny's a guy I grew up idolizing. Played for the same travel ball team as me, for the same coach. It's like he's iconic player in New York. But those two guys right off the rip that I'm looking at here, they clearly cheated after the 05. And so I can't vote for them. They're just full cross-offs for me. So, okay, now we're going to start getting into the ballot. Now, the most obvious one that should be a yes is Beltran, I believe here. So let's go back and just double-check Carlos Beltran's career statistics and just make sure that there's no reason to shy away from this. 70 WAR, switch hitter, almost 3,000 hits, not quite. Almost 500 hits, not quite. But he was an all-around player, five-tool player, played a heck of a long time, almost 20 years in the show. You know how I feel about longevity. When you go look down at his jaws, where is that? I mean, has him as the 9th best center fielder of all time on jaws. So to me, this guy's a no-brainer. I just think he's a no-brainer. I think Carlos Beltran doesn't even really need to be discussed very much. He's probably going to get in pretty soon. To me, he always felt like a Hall of Famer. I know he didn't get over the top necessarily in some people's eyes, but for me, he's going to get in. And he was great at all different times of his career. I mean, an all-star at age 39 and at 27, and obviously put up a 6.5 WAR season at age 24. So just an incredible long run. What can I say? This is kind of what it looks like. It's peak plus longevity. So Beltran gets a vote. He's definitely getting voted by me. That's like an easy no-brainer. So he gets the green check mark on Carlos Beltran. Is my number 1 pick. All right, let me see what we got here in the chat real quick. Oh, this is a quick comment about Fanatics. Yeah, I mean, and you know, it was a hostile takeover. Things went crazy there. They bought a lot of the machines, but yet they still tried to come up with a more cost-efficient way, I think, to make and sell the jerseys as authentic on field, which then decreases the quality of the on-field product. So, and this is my agreeing me with this Knicks take. Okay. Yeah, I would bet that. They probably have an easier time to root for them if they grew up with them in their backyard, but I can never do that. I could never do that. A-Rod has performance-enhancing teeth. So does Judge. So does a lot of guys. Freddie Freeman, I think, has some big veneers. Hey, love. There's no way it's in here. I'm going to check the car next. I know. My mom says no so far. What? She looked at the house, yeah. So, Manny is not a Hall of Famer. Definitely a legend here in NYC. Always wish he came to the Mets. Got very close. Yeah, like, I love Manny. I just don't think I can vote for him based off my criteria. So, only reason not to vote for Beltran is the cheating year with the Astros. I mean, everybody else has been forgiven for this, except for, I guess, him, if you hold it against him, and Jeff Luhnow. But AJ's been forgiven. Alex has been forgiven. You know, Bregman, and a lot of people have moved on. Correa, etc. And also, to be fair, and I've mentioned this on the stream before, I don't think they were the only team. So they get thrown under the bus for really just trying to win during the spy versus spy era, as I call it, which was, for me, it was 2016, probably through 2019, but obviously really 2017 was the real peak of this. The spy versus spy era. How can we cheat off the video cameras? Felt like there was lots of audio cues being given from dugouts to batters, and I didn't feel like it was just the Astros. I know they were the most brazen, but anyway, that's to not get off of topic. I don't think I realized how close Beltran got to 500 home runs. I would have guessed under 400. No, very good. He played a long time, and he had a lot of pop. Plus his playoff numbers. Let me take a quick look at that, because he was even better in the postseason. I know he had one famous strikeout, but in the postseason, 1,021 OPS, 307, 412, 609 in the postseason. Hard to beat that. I mean, shoot, he's a pretty dang good player. And he did get that title. Of course, it was the cheating title, but anyway, I think that boosts his case even more. And you'll notice with me, I'm big on playoff success as well. I think that can really put you over the top in certain situations. Yeah. See, now Barclays is a Liberty place, in my opinion. In my mind, at least. The Nets are so far gone out of my mind. Anyway. JJ Redick, the coach of the Lakers? You're talking about Josh Redick? I tend to believe Josh Redick a little bit. He doesn't seem like the type of guy that would BS you. Seems like the type of guy that would own it, to be honest, if you've ever met Josh Redick. He just doesn't give any craps. He just says stuff, and he stands by it. So I also tend to believe the Altuve part of it. But look, I mean, go look at the numbers for Marisnik and Marwin Gonzalez, and it was certainly a thing that Bregman had to respond to as well. He was definitely cheating too. But again, they weren't the only team. I think we need to move on from that for now. Enough unaffiliated guys came out after the Astros saying that they know other teams are using tech. Yeah, exactly. So I know that too. And I said with the Rockies, we never successfully cheated, but there was definitely some thought, are we behind? Do we have to come up with a system? So it was scary, especially in our division. We felt like the Dodgers were onto us too, and Diamondbacks, but like we don't have any proof. So I'm just saying it was like I call it the spy versus spy era. I mean, we definitely did used to try to decode the catcher sequences with men on second. Like some guy would be in there trying to figure it out. Some player, we didn't have a program. Like I know the Astros had a program that they built that did that, but we were just in there trying to write down like, ooh, 1, 2, 4, 6. Oh, that meant this. Like trying to figure that out because guys back then were dumb enough where they would just keep doing the same code every time. And if you could decode that, you could break a pitcher out there. But what we're talking about is other stuff. So. Yeah, that's true. I mean, most of the players on this list are very notable and will be remembered for a long time. I would agree with that. I mean, not maybe Gio Gonzalez. I mean, I'll remember him, but he's probably not in the same high level. Okay, so anyway, back to this. I almost forgot that there's another candidate here that was a cheater post 2005, and he needs to get scratched right away. And it's Mr. Ryan Braun, which sucks because I've known Ryan since college. He went to Miami, actually with my wife, but also with one of my best friends, John Jay. They batted 3-4 in the Miami lineup. I met Ryan Braun when he was a prospect. One of the more confident players I've ever met in my career, a guy that we looked up to, a guy that was showing us the way when he got to the big leagues ahead of all of us, sending Jay lots of information, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is, he made a mistake, but it was a big mistake, and he compounded the mistake by lying about it and calling the collector anti-Semitic and a whole bunch of other stuff that's just kind of unforgivable, trying to cover up his own sin. And so he's out. Great player. Great player. I don't think steroids define him as a player, but great player, and he has an MVP that he doesn't deserve. Should have been Matt Kemp's. So we'll move on from that. Okay, who else on this list is a slam dunk to me? To me. I would say the next person on this list that is a slam dunk to me, and you might disagree, is Andruw Jones.
Not in the cars.
Not in the cars. It's not in here, baby. I'm really worried about it. We have an insured? Okay. I mean, I just don't get it. I lost something very important. I lost my wedding band yesterday.
That means we're not married.
Which means we're not married, so it's a free-for-all right now.
Free-for-all.
I don't know what that means, but it means something.
That means that you have to mail out the Christmas cards.
Well, I was going to do that anyway. All right, so I'm going to check for Andruw Jones here, and then I'll tell you why I think he gets in. And to me, he's the most iconic defender in the outfield that's ever lived. In the outfield. I don't care about any other stuff. And he also played a hell of a long time and put up some numbers and was a part of some great teams. You know, an entire nation of people in Curacao and Aruba and all the people that are, from the Netherlands, Antilles, and beyond were inspired by this guy to go play the game. Guys like Kenley Jansen, Didi Gregorius, Jonathan Scope, Andrelton Simmons, and many, many more. I think you see the boom of baseball in that place, and honestly, a lot of it can be translated back to Andruw Jones. Guy's unbelievable. 62.7 WAR, 434 home runs, 337 on base, 823 career OPS. It's not like he was a bad hitter. Pretty damn good hitter on top of it. But when you're talking about 10 Gold Gloves, I just don't see how you don't get in. Now, Gold Gloves have been hated on for the history of this game. There's no Keith Hernandez in there. Don Mattingly doesn't get any bonuses. Jim Cott. A lot of people with Gold Gloves that were not respected. But for me, he should be respected. And I don't think he's as good a player as Carlos Beltran. But for me, he's still a slam dunk. Has him as 11th in center field in the Jaws. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Honestly, like, I wanted to play outfield because of this guy, and I'm not even athletic, but that's how important I think he is. And even the advanced metrics that started to come out, that we can look back on later that are here on Baseball Reference, total zone runs as an outfielder. He's in first all these years that are in 10 seasons. Like, look at all these years where he's in the top 10 in that range factor, crushing all that. I mean, he was legendary, and what's interesting about it is he used to play super shallow, whereas a lot of the sabermetric, fielding metric darlings played a lot deeper, like Kevin Kiermaier, for example. He was the first guy to really play super deep, and he was taking even more extra base hits, which have more fielding value associated with that. So at one point, playing deeper was a little bit more of a cheat code. Andruw Jones didn't even do that. He played shallow, and he took away singles all day long, and he went back on the ball really well. So that's my whole reasoning, and that's why Andruw Jones gets my vote as my second player on my ballot that I would vote for. All right, now it gets a little harder. I'm going to go ahead and cross some people off, but I'm not going to do them in red because they're not cheaters. Because I just need to clear my brain. There's certain people here. One thing that I will say, and I believe this is true for the Hall of Fame, like if I don't see your name and immediately think that you're at least borderline, you're probably not getting in. So Gio is out. Alex Gordon is out. Shin-Soo Choo is out, although I bet you the sabermetrics are sneaky. Edwin Encarnacion is out. The Parrot, love him. Great teammate. Matt Kemp is out. Not enough longevity. Howie Kendrick is out, even though he's one of my favorite players that I competed against. Always respected him, and that home run off Will Harris in the World Series for the Nationals 2019. I mean, legendary. Stayed on a cutter, hit it right down the line. Basically pesky pole, even though it's not that ballpark. Markakis, I'm going to wait a minute, although I don't think he's in. Daniel Murphy, I can't vote for him either. He's out. Hunter Pence is out as well. I mean, both guys who I have tons of respect for and think they're great. Porcello's out. He basically retired at like in the low 30s. Unless you're like Tim Lincecum or something, I can't even consider you at that point. And that leaves us with the rest of these candidates. And there's some good ones here. So we got to look at Torrey Hunter next, because Torrey Hunter has a similar career arc and value point to Andruw Jones, correct? Gold Glove, defensive value. And I want to look at these center fielders all in a row first. 353 homers, 50.6 WAR, so he's way below Andruw Jones in terms of overall career value, and way below Carlos Beltran, 20 WAR behind Beltran. Not as good of a hitter as either of them. 793 OPS, did have the 9 Gold Gloves and the 5 All-Stars, which matches Andruw Jones. Also had pretty dang good longevity, played a really long time, but the peak wasn't as high. I mean, his best ever season is 09 with the Angels, 5.3 WAR. And really, he's a heck of a consistent player. I mean, shoot, between 01 and I guess 13. So from age 25 to 37, he was basically the same player that whole stretch. So I'm going to say maybe I would consider giving him my vote, because I'd like for him to stay on the ballot, but he's probably a no at the moment. I don't think he beats the others. Oh, good idea. Anyway, so I'm going to leave him off for now, but I'm not going to cross him off either. Let's see what we got in here in the chat real quick as I keep going. Does Vizquel get disqualified as a separate category? I guess I got to look into that, because I'm tempted to vote for Omar Vizquel based on his defense and what he meant to Venezuela as well. I know he was a light hitter. He played forever, and I know he has this domestic abuse and basic piece of shit type stuff going on. So, like, I don't want to reward that behavior at all. But there's also some other POSs in the Hall of Fame, so I don't know if it automatically disqualifies you. Gotta think about that. That Howie Kendrick foul pole dong is iconic. Yes. Very important. Yep, and you get up to 10 votes. Now, you don't have to vote for 10. You can vote for 1 and move on, none and move on, 3, 4, whatever. But I'm probably going to vote for 10, because in my opinion, it really matters to keep these guys on the ballot. All right, let's look at Vizquel's situation right now by the numbers, because he's another defensive candidate. And I've been tempted to vote for him. To me, he always felt like a no-brainer Hall of Famer. All right, 45.6 WAR, so that's less than the guy that I just said I'm not sure about, and only an 82 career OPS plus. But he played the hardest defensive position outside of catcher, which is shortstop, the most impactful. 11 Gold Gloves, the best hands anybody's ever seen at shortstop. Inspired a whole country again to be incredible middle infielders. He's a legend from Miranda, Venezuela. Also, you want to talk about longevity, age 22 through age 45. Chipping away at accumulating that WAR, as he was basically averaging, looks like 2.5 WAR per season, which, you know, is like a good player, not great player, but when you combine it with the longevity and then you realize that a lot of the WAR is coming from defense as well as this streak of Gold Gloves. He won the Gold Glove every year from 93 through 01, and then he came back to win it again in 05, 06 as a 38 and 39-year-old. Who knows what the defensive metrics would have said about him at that point? But I just think 11 Gold Gloves at shortstop is different level. I know that it's only 3 All-Stars, but that's probably because he was competing with some offensive steroid monsters at that time. Wait, he was? I mean, 98, 99 as the Cleveland shortstop, and then 2002 as a Cleveland shortstop are his Gold Glove, are his All-Star years, and that's right in the middle of steroid city. So I don't know. I'm pretty tempted to put him in, honestly. To me, he always felt like an iconic fielder, and I know there's some personal stuff getting in the way, and that's maybe a criteria. But in terms of his on-field performance and how he inspired the next generation, especially in his country, I'm tempted to put him in. Also, a sneaky 404 stolen bases. And for a really bad hitter, to at least have a 336 on base saves it a little bit because that was his job to get on base. So, in a way, I don't know. Definitely some room to ask some questions. I would agree with this. Carl thinks that Hunter's close, second best of a generation behind Beltran, but overall, to the other Hall of Fame center fielders, he comes up short. Okay. All right, back to this chart, as I know we're jumping around a little bit. I want to save the pictures for later. Let's go look at Bobby Abreu next, because Bobby Abreu has some counting stats that I don't think a lot of people realize. So he's up at 60 WAR. 291 average, 395 on base. 475 slugging, 870 OPS. Now, I actually got to face Bobby Abreu. I pitched against Venezuela in the WBC in 09. He was in the lineup. And I remember looking at a stat, preparing for that game. It was something like he had 10,000 at-bats. So I guess he only had 8,400 at-bats, according to this. But it was something crazy. 8,000 at-bats to that point. Because he was almost done in 09, right? Yeah, almost done. And he'd only swung at the first pitch like 2% of the time. So clearly, seeing pitches was a big part of his game. He didn't take enough 0-0 chances to probably hit more home runs. I bet if he did, his numbers would look a little different. He'd have more pop. So he'd have more than the 288 home runs that he ended up hitting. But he would also have a way lower on-base percentage. I bet the OPS would be similar, but it would be a totally different approach. Again, though, he wasn't raised in that system. He owes 10,000 plus plate appearances. Thank you, Maya. But you look at it, I mean, almost 2,500 hits, 400 steals. He's got 1 Gold Glove. He's only a 2-time All-Star. He never felt like a Hall of Famer to me in the moment. But the numbers kind of say he is. What does it say in Jaws? Has him as 22nd best in Hall of Fame. I mean, black ink, not nearly enough. Gray ink, not nearly enough. Hall of Fame monitor, it makes them close, but a little bit below. Batting puts them above and Hall of Fame standards. And then Jaws has him as the 22nd best right fielder. Now, right fielder is a little bit higher of a bar to clear. Offensively, a lot of the big all-time sluggers there has him a little bit below. And he never quite felt like a Hall of Famer to me. Let's look at his similarity scores. Luis Gonzalez, Bernie Williams, Dwight Evans, Garrett Anderson, Torrey Hunter, Dave Parker, Chili Davis, Steve Finley, Johnny Damon. These are all Hall of Very Goods. They're not all quite in. They're not in. They're not in. So I think I'm actually going to not vote for Bobby Abreu. He just didn't feel like one at the time. Postseason, he hit for an 810 OPS, but it's in limited action, so that doesn't put him over the top either. So I'm going to go ahead and not vote for him. He does not get my vote. So I'm going to cross him off for the time being. I was a little surprised. I thought his numbers would have put him a little bit higher up, but I don't think he quite makes it. All right, other position players to look at here. Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Vizquel we're still on the fence about. Markakis I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of. And then we got to look at the curious cases of Wright and Pedroia, who are both cut short. Yellow means I have them crossed off, but not for steroid reasons. Steroid reasons are the red. So far, I've only voted for Beltran and Andruw Jones, and I'm still trying to parse through these position players. And then we'll move on to a couple of the pitchers at the end, which are also kind of tough. If you think you threw your wedding ring out, call your local sanitation company. No, I don't think I threw it out. My mother just had a good idea on text, so I'm gonna go look in a minute. Well, when I'm done. Surprised to hear me say that Bernie's not a Hall of Famer. I didn't say that, but Bernie's not in, so it's hard for me to put Bobby Abreu over him. Bernie has the postseason accolades, which to me zoom him up a bit, which will come into play when we get to Andy. All right, Jimmy Rollins and Chase Utley. I'm tempted to vote for both of these guys, to be honest. Let's go look at the numeros. All right, so 47.9 WAR for Jimmy Rollins. 95 OPS plus kind of surprises me. Almost 2,500 hits, 231 home runs, 470 steals. Didn't walk enough. 324 average, 743 OPS. All right, so he did win the MVP. He got the World Series, got 4 Gold Gloves, won the Clemente Award, which also means something. Switch hitter. Pretty good longevity. Definitely a Phillies icon. The peak's not as long as you would think, though. This is really the peak. 2004 through 08. So you're looking at 5 truly electric Hall of Fame type seasons, and the rest is him being good but not as great. In that span, he did win the MVP. Then he kind of survived the rest of the way. Interestingly, as a 35-year-old, he put together a heck of a year in 2014. But in the way that Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker were kind of disrespected as a duo, I don't know. It kind of makes me want to put Jimmy in there. Has him as the 34th best shortstop. Has him falling short a little bit by some of these standards, but I think it's more of a sum of the parts argument here. I don't know. He's a little short for sure on the stats, so maybe I'm not sure about Jimmy. Let me go look at Chase. Chase has got a much better case. 64.6 WAR, one of the all-time best defenders at second base. 358 on base, 823 overall OPS. Not as many hits, but that wasn't part of his game. There was a lot of walks in his game. 259 home runs, ranks quite well at second base. I also thought he was a great mentor to guys in LA. I mean, he was the jumping off point for certain guys in their careers for the Dodgers as well. And his peak was a lot more peaky. 7.3 WAR all the way through. Let's just say here, because he was still great after this, but this is the real deal peak. I mean, averaging 7.6 WAR for a 6th season. I mean, he's in. To me, there's no doubt. Let's go see what Jaws has to say. Yeah, 12th best second baseman. You know, interesting though. You look at his comparables. Jeff Kent is in there when he was 26. They're comparable, and 31-32. But yeah, none of these other guys are even close. Kinsler, Brett Boone, Hanley, Brandon Phillips, 0 Hall of Famers. Maybe Bobby Grich is in. I don't know. Joe Gordon's in, and Bobby Dorr are in. Those two, not Bobby Grich. Hey.
Do you have any baseball and coffee lighters?
Yeah.
Where? Baseball and coffee lighters.
What?
Are perfect.
For what?
Everything.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and vote for Chase. I mean, to me, he's a no-brainer. I got to think a little bit more about J-Roll. I'm going to get in the chat here in a second, but I'm going to vote in Mr. Utley right now. I also like the fact that I punched this guy out a bunch of times, so that makes me feel good. So that's 3 so far. Beltran, Jones, and Utley. Yeah, I guess that was an ad read from my daughter, huh? I don't know what she was doing. Okay. I hate Utley, but can begrudgingly accept his case. Rollins should not be, and he didn't even deserve that MVP. That's true, he didn't. He should have finished like 6th or 7th on MVP. Abreu had a career on OBP right over 400 until the end. Yeah, I mean, which is an impressive thing. It's just interesting how he clearly valued that stat when other people didn't. Like, nobody was talking about that during his heyday, and he chose to be the best at that. And I think if he sold out for more power, you might have seen a lot more power numbers get in there, and maybe people would look at him a little differently. You also got to remember, and I remember this too a little bit about Bobby, it's hard to compare him because the monsters were in his era, like the monsters. So it's like he was never thought of as in that class, but I don't think he was a steroid guy either necessarily. So maybe he was. Who knows? Either way, I'm not putting him in. All right. What else we got here? Do I think the hard slide on purpose? I mean, obviously, he's trying to take him out and destroy him. This is hard-nosed baseball. He went a little bit beyond hitting a guy, but at the same time, I've had lots of second basemen tell me that Ruben Tejada was in a bad situation in terms of technique when Chase came into that bag that day, and that if he knew what he was doing, he wouldn't have ended up in that spot. So maybe I'll defer to those guys telling me that. Now, granted, the rules are all different now, and you can't hit anybody at all, really. I don't know. It's hard for me. Yeah, was it hard-nosed? Was it dirty? Probably more on the dirty side, which we don't love, but that one play, to me, it doesn't take away from his Hall of Fame case. It kind of strengthens it in a way because it kind of shows the lengths of which he was willing to go to win. Even if they were a little bit dirty, he was just that type of player, and he brought a certain edge to your team. There's been, the stories about having, like when Puig did some stuff, he told a catcher, hey, have the pitcher hit me on purpose to send a message. I mean, he's just a different cat. But ultimately, by the on-field numbers, I think he's a no doubt. Yeah, how did Chase never win a Gold Glove? He was one of the best all time at defensive value. Where's that? Where is that? I mean, you look at the D-WAR category. He was very, very good for a long time. Averaged over 1.5 D-WAR per season. But yeah, probably not as flashy. I could see Brandon Phillips. Maybe could have been a guy that got some of those. Chase doesn't compare with other Hall of Famers played at second, but he was the best at second baseman in his generation. I agree. I have him in. A lot. I have him in. All right. Rollins, I'm going to have out for now. I might end up putting my vote for him at the end because I want him to stay on the ballot. I think he's close-ish. Him and Vizquel, I would put Vizquel ahead of him despite some of the stuff. All right, now we got to look at these two guys who are interesting cases because their careers were cut short. Number 1 is David Wright, and number 2 is Dustin Pedroia. All right, let's go look at D. Wright. I'm tempted already without even looking to say I'm going to probably vote for David, just because I think the spinal stenosis robbed him of what surely would have been a 65 plus WAR career. Like, he was still going strong when stuff started to happen to him physically, which is really 2014. 698 OPS that year. Did battle back to play a little bit in 2015, as we know, the year they went to the World Series, and performed quite well that year. But he was never going to be okay after that. His back was toast. I also think the first couple of years in Citi Field were a little bit of a transition. He was such an opposite field power guy. The fences were really, really deep. So the power numbers probably kind of started to decline as he moved into the new field. And you can see that here. He had 34 home runs in 07. First year of Citi Field's what? 09? 10 home runs that year. No, he had 30 home runs in 07, 33 in 08, and then 10 home runs in 09. And then he got back up to 29 and 10, but then the home runs weren't really as big of a part of his game. ultimately, I see David as a guy who would have easily played till he was 38, 39. He's an iconic player for a franchise, no doubt. Number 5, will hang in the rafters forever at Citi Field and beyond. He was the captain of the team. Look at 2012, 7.1 WAR, just a sensational season. 306, 391, 492. And in the year he finished 6th in the MVP. I believe this is the year that Posey won it. Yeah, Posey was the MVP this year. David's got a pretty good case to be a top 3 MVP guy this year. Between him and Yachty and Posey, they were the only guys over 7 WAR. I don't know. I'm not going to hold it against them, the longevity thing. For me, the peak is strong enough. I mean, you look from 2005 through 2013. It's a pretty long peak, putting up about 5 WAR per season. And not just that, he's also iconic, and he was a good defender, so he kind of did it in a bunch of different ways. And therefore, I'm giving David my vote. Giving David my vote. I think the counting stats would have been more impressive. Obviously, we could have kept going. Could have got over 350 home runs. Would have had closer to 2,500 hits. Would have looked a lot closer to guys like Todd Helton, who did get in. I mean, a 133 OPS plus for his career with those bad declining years at the end because of the bad back. I'm putting him in. Will he get in? Probably not. Not right now. But in my under my qualifications, yes. David Wright gets my vote. And he is in. So, to recap at the moment, we have Beltran and David Wright, former Mets. We have Andruw Jones, former Brave, and Chase Utley, former Phillies. So a lot of NL East people right now. And now it's time to look at an AL East guy, Mr. Dustin Pedroia, who I think was headed in. I really do. 51.8 WAR when the incident happened with the Manny Machado slide. That was during 2017. Never been the same since. Barely played ever again after that. And honestly, I don't really think he was slowing down much. He had a pretty damn good season in 2016. This is one of the all-time grinders. You want to talk about an iconic player. Dustin Pedroia is an iconic player. The short kings of the world, 5'9", 170. This guy banged his way to an MVP. Showed up at Arizona State in college. Ian Kinsler was the guy. Dustin Pedroia said, give me that position. You go somewhere else. That's how good he was and how it just became inevitable when you were around this guy that he was going to drive winning. Huge part of the 2007 dominating Red Sox World Series team, as well as 13. So 2-time champion in Boston. Not a lot of players can say that. His peak was exceptional as well. Let's just call it 07 through 16, averaging 5 WAR. And that's for 9 years. So to me, Pettitte was on the exact same trajectory as David Wright. And I think he would have got in there. All told, 299 career average, which is crazy to fall percentage, like barely decimal point behind 300 average, 365 on base, 805 career OPS, has a couple gold gloves, 4 gold gloves, has the MVP, has the rookie of the year, just a dirtbag grinder. I'm voting for Dustin Pedroia, at least to stay on the ballot. Sucks that he doesn't have the longevity. I know that he'll never compare to some of the other guys. Like Utley got him with WAR overall, but do I think that Utley was a better player than Dustin Pedroia? Not necessarily. I just think he didn't get there, maybe longevity-wise. And I don't know. To me, he always felt like a Hall of Famer. A different type of player, but a player that should be remembered forever. So I'm going to go ahead and vote for Pedroia here. And now we're clearly into the phase of this ballot where I'm willing to vote for a few people that didn't have both qualifications, the longevity and the peak. I think both of these guys had the peak, David Wright and Pedroia, but not quite the longevity that you typically see or that you ended up seeing maybe with these other 3 that I voted for. I'm going to give Vizquel my vote. I've sat on it a little bit long enough. I think he deserves it. I'm not going to give Rollins my vote this year. I'm going to pass on that for now. I'm sure he'll stay on the ballot either way, but I'm going to pass on him for now. I think he's below the others. He doesn't quite have the combination of peak and longevity and total quality compared to Vizquel. I just can't. I can't vote for Jimmy based off of what we've looked at so far. All right, so now we're going to look at the pitchers. Torrey Hunter, I've also decided not to vote for. He was close. I was borderline, but he was close. And now we're up to the pitchers. So far I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 votes. I have 4 more if I want to give 4 more votes. And there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more candidates. All right, let's try to get Francisco Rodriguez out of the way. K-Rod. Very hard for a closer to get in. 24.2 WAR is getting close, though, I have to say. Once you're over 20 WAR as a reliever, you have to be taken seriously. 948 games, 2.86 ERA, over 1,000 strikeouts. Not many people have done that. He has the all-time single-season saves record in 62 back in 08. For the Angels, he was a phenom when he came up. He's had some ugly incidences, too. There was an ugly Mets one. I think he shoved somebody down. But I don't know. Look at the overall body of work as a closer. And really, to me, there's a couple stats in relief pitching that kind of separate you in a different stratosphere. Number 1 is total games pitched. So he's at 948, which let's see where that puts him all time. It's in here. This is weird. Games played all time career. So he is 21st all time in games pitched. To me, that's a huge stat. Anybody who gets to 1,000, that's kind of like the gold standard of how did you do that. But I like the fact that he got to 948, 21st all time, and it was as a closer. That tells me he had a combination of that longevity plus peak factor. And I think I'm going to vote for K-Rod. How many saves did he end up with? Not that really matters that much, but 437 saves is a ton. What number is that all time? Let me go back to look at that leaderboard. Sorry about that. 6th all time in saves. This is the all-time saves leaders. Mariano, Hoffman, Smith, Jansen, Kimbrel, who I both think have a decent shot. Definitely Kenley's going to get in. And then K-Rod ahead of John Franco, who somehow's not in. Bailey Wagner's in. Eckersley is in. Those are more dominant pitchers than him. And Joe Nathan looks like, I don't think has he been on the ballot on and off already? I don't know. For me, I'm going to put him in. I think some of these guys are disrespected, some of these relief pitchers, and I think given the a number of factors that he has working for him, I think he's one of the rare guys that should get a vote out of the bullpen. So I'm going to vote for K-Rod. The longevity to get to that many games and saves, but also having the peak and being iconic, having the K-Rod nickname and what he did in that playoff run for the Angels. I think all of that factors in. So he gets my vote. And now we're down to the starting pitchers. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get one out of the way where I'm extremely biased on, and I'm going to vote for him. And it's Andy Pettitte. Now, I understand that he's going to fall a little bit short in terms of some of the numbers. 3.85 ERA, not particularly impressive for a Hall of Famer. 60.2 WAR, barely gets you close to the ballpark for Hall of Fame amount of WAR. Hey, Archie.
No.
You want to come say hi?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. I'm almost done.
No.
And then you can have my chair.
No.
I just have to finish up my show, buddy.
No.
Do you want to say hi? You don't want to say hi?
No.
Okay.
No.
What was I saying about him? About Andy. Oh, here it is. So he falls short on a lot of the standard stuff. But I think you have to look a little bit deeper with Andy Pettitte. I know he had the HGH thing. To me, that was before 05. At least he was transparent about it, trying to get back healthy. But look at this postseason situation. Where's postseason pitching? Here it is, postseason pitching. I mean, look, he pitched 276 and 2/3 in the postseason. He won 23 postseason games. Had a slightly better ERA in the postseason. I just think he was a part of so much winning. Iconic team wouldn't have been iconic without him. I think the 3.85 ERA can get a little bit overlooked given the division he was in during the era he played. You know, you think about other pitchers out of the AL East during that division, during that time period that are going to get in the Hall of Fame or did get in the Hall of Fame. Mussina. He's not as good as Mussina, but he was not far off. He was out there churning out 200-inning campaigns for a really long time. Just 200-inning campaigns alone that I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of those. And then over 130 innings, you can add another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. So talk about bulk. Best pickoff move in the history of the game. I'm biased, but I think a lot of it's the postseason success. And so I'm going to vote for Andy Pettitte. And I know people might disagree with me, but that's okay. I'm voting for Andy.
No.
Do you want to say hi?
Yeah, no.
Well, I have to finish up, baby, before I give you the computer.
No.
Okay, I have a few more players to go over. Just 3 more. That's it.
No.
Go to mama and then come back, okay?
No.
Circle back.
No.
You're gonna torpedo me? You're thinking about it?
No.
I'm sorry, buddy. Totally agree, Carl. Where is it? This question right here. How much does a player's personal life? Obviously not that much for me. I voted for Vizquel, so obviously not that much. But I think it's more so the precedent that's been set already by some other people that, you go look at their personal lives, maybe that would cancel for them, but they're still in there, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't think Archie agrees. He's coming to get the ball from me pretty soon, so we better hurry up. All right, now we have another guy with a huge peak but no longevity, Felix Hernandez. So let's take a look at him and see if he can get in. Another absolutely iconic pitcher, ends up with just shy of 50 WAR, 3.42 ERA, 2,700 innings pitched. And he would have been over 50 WAR had he not crashed and burned the last 2 years in Seattle, where he put up a negative 2-point-something WAR those last 2 years. Really, the last 3 years, he really fell off hard. This is just a guy who I think, look at the innings pitched early in his career from 06, where he pitched 191, all the way through 2015. So you're talking 9 years where the least amount of innings he pitched was 190 and a third in a season. So that's what you're looking for. And the peak is truly spectacular. From a 19-year-old all the way through that full decade of his life, his whole 20s. Put up 50 WAR, 4.5 WAR per year. Won the Cy Young on the strength of a 2010 year, right? This is when he won the Cy, 2010 year. And was one of the first Cy Young Award winners that did it without a crazy win-loss record, 13-12 that year with a 2.27, almost 250 innings pitched. Also was a little bit more of a contact guy, so his strikeout numbers aren't going to be quite iconic. He did average 8.3 strikeouts per 9 in his career, but wasn't really known for that. Was known for getting quick outs, ground balls as he transitioned his game. He kind of... I'm almost done. I need like 10 minutes.
What's wrong?
But he's not happy about it.
Do you want to go sit on Dad's show? You want to say hi?
He doesn't want to say hi. He wants to watch shows on my computer.
Daddy.
What?
Daddy, that's out.
You want Daddy to get out?
Yeah.
Because you want his office?
Yeah.
Is it Archie's office?
Yeah.
See, this is my office.
They're
Dad.
kicking me out.
Here, why don't you go say hi to everybody, and then Daddy will come off very soon, okay?
I'll be off in 5 minutes.
Say hello, say I love trucks.
No.
Do you want to show them your new truck? No.
Everybody's at the house today. Brad, you saying hi?
Hi guys.
Tell them that
6, 7.
Dad's gonna upload a magic trick later.
My dad here.
Am I?
Yeah.
To my YouTube channel?
Yeah, he's going to upload a magic
magical
trick that we did
letters.
with baseball and coffee lighter. So go get your merch now.
Okay. Okay.
You wanna show them?
You gonna show them something? Yeah, he is AO Junior.
Baseball and coffee lighters are the best.
They are best in the game.
Best in the game. I would light them right now. Don't do
I know.
this.
Tell me about
But-
it, Ocean View.
But don't do this without a parrot. It's very dangerous.
Daddy?
Like especially.
Do you want to
with
come
fire.
show some stuff? You show the screen. Oh, we got Archie here. Show them what you got. You got these Adam stickers.
Oh, I see on the chat Adam's children. Crack me up. Yeah. We do crack everyone up.
Maya's saying she would buy just the baseball and coffee lighter. Oh, look at the new tissue paper. Show it, Brad.
So also we have new tissue paper here
For the wrapping.
for the wrapping. We also have these baseball and coffee ponytails here. Very, very nice. Oh,
And she says, don't worry, she won't light the lighter without a parent.
Mom.
I won't light the lighter without a parent because it's very dangerous and I take the proper safety precautions. So also we have this baseball and coffee pin. And if you like any of this merch, please
We're
go
doing
to
great
the
today.
baseball and coffee shop now. Thank you guys.
All right. All right, Archie, I'm going to put you down, okay, so I can finish, and then we'll bring you back.
Oh, and we also have beanie hats.
Beanie hats.
Beanies. If beanies your style,
This is...
check out the Lincoln Center New York City Nutcracker. I'm a soldier, so come watch me. Okay, anyway, so if beanies and hot chocolate are your style this season, please go check out the baseball and coffee shop.
Thanks, baby. All right.
Yeah, I am very cute.
You're reading the comments?
Yeah, I am very cute.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, yeah, 6'7". 41.
You're gonna sit there.
I think it's cooler. All right, we have to finish this out. My last votes. Am I giving Felix Hernandez a vote? What does the chat think? Would you guys vote for Felix Hernandez?
Archer says no.
Archer says no. I don't know if he has enough longevity, but I'm also all about the peak. I'm gonna give him a vote to keep him on for the shorter. I mean, it's just crazy how much he pitched. Probably while he was full of Blue Label. So,
Let Daddy focus.
I'm gonna vote for Felix, King Felix. I mean, they had a whole court there where they were eating drumsticks, turkey legs, and had literally a whole section for him. So I think he's too iconic not to put on there. King Felix. So how many have we voted for this year? Beltran, Felix, Andruw, Pedroia, Pettitte, K-Rod, Utley, Vizquel, Wright. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can only vote for one more. Is it going to be Mark Burley? Is it going to be Cole Hamels? Probably neither. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at both of their cases. These are both longevity cases. Cole Hamels does have the peak playoff case. Let me look at Burley for a second. 59 WAR, 3.81, similar resume to Pettitte. I would say regular season resume. What's his postseason resume look like? Not as much longevity to put up just as much WAR. So I would say he's a better regular season pitcher than Pettitte. And you want to talk about innings pitched streak. He pitched over 200 innings every year from 2001 all the way till really he stopped playing baseball. He threw 198 2/3 in 2015 for the Blue Jays and then just shut it down. He probably could have kept going off of the strength of this. One thing I loved about Burley, and I think a lot of pitchers could learn from his style, was he worked fast. He never shook. He just went right at everybody, and the games went really quickly. He also had the perfect game. The Dwayne Wise catch. He had the iconic flip between the legs play at first. There's a lot of iconic things about Burley, actually, now that I think about it. He's a very non-traditional pitcher for his era in a way because of the lack of strikeouts. Like, he just never bought into that. 5.1 strikeouts per 9, but only 2 walks per 9. It's interesting, gives up more than 1 hit per 9 for his career, yet he's still amazing because he was a left-hander. He picked guys off. He didn't give up a lot of extra base hits. He controlled his contact well. Again, he just turned innings. He just turned innings. I'm tempted to maybe vote for him. Let me look at his postseason resume. He definitely doesn't clear the bar, like, totally, but I also think we have to start judging these era of pitchers a little bit differently. All right, postseason pitching. Not a whole lot. I mean, 2005 was the big year. He had a 4.91 in the World Series that year. Overall, 4.11 and only 30 innings in the postseason. So that's not enough to push him up to any type of crazy level. He did add 5.3% to the championship win probability added and 8.3% in that 05 year that they did win. But, all right, I don't know. Let's go look at Cole Hamels and we'll kind of decide between these guys. Cole Hamels, 59 WAR. So he's right there with Burley, right around a similar number. Peak's probably a little better. And he had that one postseason run. Didn't throw as many innings every year, although he had a nice streak here. Between 07 and 2015, he was pretty much a workhorse every year there. More strikeouts, a little harder to hit, little less command. He was even really good in 2019 with the Cubs, right? 27 starts at the very end, still did fine as he kind of kicked around. He was in Texas for a little while. He had an odd career in that he was iconic in Philly, then he was with Texas, the Cubs, and then there was that little stretch there with the Braves at the very end. But this is what I was talking about a little bit. You go look at his postseason pitching. 100 innings in the postseason with a 3.41. The big year, though, was with the Phillies in the year they won the World Series, 08. The 08 postseason run was legendary. There it is. So the first round, he obviously threw 1 game against Milwaukee, 8 innings, no runs. Then in the next round, 2 starts, 7 innings a pop, it looks like. Dominated those, only gave up 3 total runs. And then the World Series, 2 starts, only gave up total of 4 runs as they went all the way. He was the NLCS MVP and the World Series MVP. I think that pushes him above Burley. And he has a sneaky good case. I really like the fact that his postseason numbers kind of push him up. And really, there's a bunch of players here who could get this last vote. And none of them are really slam dunks at this point. But again, to me, I'm a big Hall type of guy. And if I had to fill out my ballot, I would give my last vote to Cole Hamels. I would put him up above some of these other guys. I'm going to take it away from Burley. I think he's close. But I can't realistically put him above, Rollins or Torrey Hunter or Bobby Abreu, who are all pretty close in my mind. So that's kind of how I'm going to go. I valued postseason success a little more. In particular, that pushed Hamels, Pettitte, K-Rod to some extent across the line. Other than that, being an iconic player for your franchise also really helped. That's where Pedroia and Wright get in for me, despite not having the longevity. Also iconic in your country, inspirational to your country. Omar Vizquel, Felix Hernandez, Carlos Beltran, those guys all fall into that category as well as K-Rod. I think Andruw Jones also strengthens his argument with that a little bit. So that was my very non-scientific way of showing you how I would fill out my ballot this season if I had a vote. I sure don't. And even the guys that I crossed out, a lot of them are a lot more interesting and a lot closer. And in some other years with less candidates, they might have gotten a back end of the ballot vote for me just to stay on. But ultimately, I'm probably always going to vote for 10 guys through this era of baseball because I think this era is a little bit underserved in the Hall of Fame. You go look at the percentages of players relative to the total amount of players that are in the Hall of Fame through the decades. And it used to be a lot higher when you were young, back in the day, in the early going of baseball, whereas it's gotten a lot thinned out now. And maybe some people like that, but for me, I'm still going to vote for 10 people every year, knowing that 10 aren't going to get in, trying to keep them on the ballot and continue to think about these people as we continue to evolve our thinking as time goes on, if that makes sense. So that's my ballot. Beltran, Hamels, Hernandez, Jones, Pedroia, Pettitte, Rodriguez, Utley, Vizquel, Wright. feel free to put your votes, who you would vote for, in the comments. In the that would be great if I could see what everybody has. Go ahead and take a visual of this and put who you got, and we'll see what the consensus is. So anyway, that's my personal vote. That's what I would have said. And I don't think there's a right and wrong answer necessarily for Hall of Fame voting. That's why I think it's fun. I will have somebody on and we'll debate this soon. I think that'll be more fun. You know, we'll do a little bit more debating on it because people are going to disagree and feel passionate. And it's a shame for me that I had to eliminate Manny Ramirez and A-Rod because on their skill, they'd be slam dunks. It's just they made some crucial bad decisions after 05 there. I have to disqualify them. So it makes it tough for me. Burley didn't hit 200 innings pitch mark one time and promptly retired. Yeah. John Gibbons pushed him out there that last game, but he couldn't get out of the first inning. Damn, he needed a couple more outs to get another 200 innings. It's crazy now. Guys battle the whole year. They don't get close to 200 innings. So it's interesting. I go Beltran, Jones, K-Rod, Vizquel. Okay. Yeah, if you guys want to, drop them in the YouTube comments below the video. I'm going to say goodbye for the day now. I got to get ready to take my daughter in for her 2 o'clock performance today, Lincoln Center. So they need me. All right. Good show. Kind of a mixed bag. Obviously, there's not a lot going on. We talked Soderstrom. We talked Hall of Fame. That was my ballot for now. We'll have some more people to debate on. Hopefully, we'll get Justin on here on Monday. So you guys have a great weekend. And hopefully, we get more news. We can kick up these shows a little bit better. And then we'll keep it going. Real quick on this, do you think the vote should be public? Yes. I don't like the anonymous voting, but I do like that the votes come out now at least, and we see, for the most part, people are transparent about it. I think if you can't stand behind your vote, you shouldn't have a vote. That's kind of the way I look at it. So this is me standing behind my BS votes, even though they don't matter. And yeah, we'll keep it moving from there. So see you guys on Monday. Hopefully some good stuff happens this weekend. If not, we'll just get into big-time winter ball stuff because that's going to get popping off. So thanks for joining me on a day where I really didn't have a lot cooking, and we made the most of it, I think. Shout out to my kids for showing up and at times making it tough, but at times making it cute. So have a great day. Enjoy it. Stay out of the snow and the freezing cold unless you're going sledding or skiing. That could be exciting the next couple days up here. And happy Boxing Day if that's your thing. Today, I know there's a lot of great soccer on today, maybe some football and other things going on. So enjoy everybody, enjoy your families, enjoy hibernating for these last few days before the New Year's, and then we got to go back to work, right? So, all right, good night, goodbye, see ya, bye-bye.